Good morning, students. Today is Thursday, May the 21st, and this is Miss Williams. Today's topic is simple interest, which is related to our work on percents that we've been doing recently. So simple interest is about earning interest in a bank account. When you deposit some money into a bank account and you leave it there for a good long period of time, the bank will pay you extra money for the fact that you left your money in their bank. And that is called interest. So your money earns interest. This first problem, Peter has 50,000 in a savings account that earns 15% interest per year. The interest is not compounded. To the nearest cent, how much interest will he earn in 1 year? Okay, so basically what that means is that he has $50,000 in an account. He will earn 15% interest per year. That means every year the bank will give him an extra 15% of that money and they'll put it into his account. The amount of money in his account is typically referred to as the balance in the account. So the interest gets added into the account and it increases the balance. When they say the interest is not compounded, what they mean here is that the bank each year uses 50,000 as the number that they calculate the 15% on. So the first year they're going to do 15% of 50,000. And then they'll get a new balance in the bank account. The second year, they're still going to use the 50,000, assuming he hasn't taken anything out, to calculate the 15%. That's what, when they say it's not compounded, that's what they mean. Let me show you some examples. Try not to get too distracted by this. The interest is not compounded. We will talk about it again in a moment. They're saying use the formula I equals PRT, where I is the interest, P is the principal, which is the amount you put into the account. R is the interest rate as a decimal, and T is the time in years. So we're trying to work out the interest. So we're trying to work out I is P times R times T. The principal is the starting amount. So that's $50,000. R is the interest rate as a decimal. So 15% as a decimal is 0.15. And then the time is 1 year. So we're just going to multiply this on our calculator. So I'm taking my calculator here, 50,000 times 0.15 is 7,500. So the answer to this problem is 7,500. So that's what you would put in IXL, into the box in IXL. Let's do another problem. So this was number 1. Let's do another problem. Here's number 2. Camille, let's zoom in on it so you can see it, because I know it's hard to read these problems on the video. Okay, oops, maybe back a little. Okay, Camille has 21,000 in a savings account that earns 15% annually. The interest is not compounded. How much interest will she earn in 5 years? So what you do is you work out 15% of 21,000. She's going to get that 5 years in a row, so that ends up being multiplied by 5. Again, the interest is not compounded, means that we're always using the 21,000 to work out our percent. So here's what we're going to do. The interest is principal times rate times time. Okay, our principal is 21,000. Our rate, again, is 15%, but our time now is 5 years. So now we're going to multiply by 5. So 21,000 times 0.15 times 5 is 15,750. And they're asking how much interest will she earn? 15,750. And I also want to let you guys know that these interest rates that they're using in these problems are not realistic. 15% interest rate in a savings account is not a realistic amount. It's usually much, much lower than that. It's down around 1% or 1.5%. So I want you just to know that these numbers are not realistic. Okay, let's put the dollar sign there, seeing as it's money. And let's do number 3. Alana. So Alana has $11,400 in a savings account that earns 8% interest per year. Interest is not compounded. How much interest will she earn in 6 months? So we don't have to worry about this. We're just going to use the formula. How much will she earn in 6 months? Okay. I is equal to principal times rate times time. Our principal is 11,400. Our rate is 8%. Be careful to put that as a decimal properly. It's not 8/10, it's 8/100. 8% is 8 out of 100. Make sure you put that extra 0 in there. And then for time, time is in years. Do you see it says here T is the time in years? But they've given us 6 months. Do I multiply by 6? But that would be 6 years. It's 6 months. So that's half of a year. So that's 0.5 is what I'm going to put in on my calculator. It's half of a year. So 11,400 times 0.08 times 0.5, and I get $456. That would be the answer. All right, let's move on and do another one. Shauna made $12 interest by placing $100 in a savings account with a simple interest for 1 year. What was the interest rate? So she made $12. So they've given us the answer is $12 of interest. She started with $100 in her savings account. The time was 1 year, and they want to know the interest rate. Okay, so I equals PRT. The interest she earned was 12. The money she put in to start with was 100. We do not know the percent. That's what we're trying to work out, and the year was 1. So 12 is equal to 100 times the interest rate, because when you multiply by 1, you get the same thing. I am going to divide both sides by 100. Remember, 100 over 100 is an equivalent of 1. So this is 1 times R, which is R. And this is 12 out of 100. And that as a percent is 12%. Remember the decimal equivalent of the percent. So the answer is 12%. Now, it's a slightly different version of the problem where they gave you the answer, they gave you the amount of interest, but they were looking for what the rate was. Okay, let's look at number 5. This is another one looking for the interest rate. The question is, what was the interest rate? Okay, so let's see if we can get all the other pieces of information. She made $1,800 in interest by placing $9,000 in a savings account that was earning simple interest, which is what we're working out here is called simple interest, for 2 years. What was the interest rate? So 18,000 is equal to, that's 1,800 is equal to 18,000 times R. We're going to divide by 18,000. That's my equivalent of 1. And 1,800 divided by 18,000, that's the same thing as 1/10, which is 0.1. Now, if I want to convert this to a percent, it's easier to look at it with that extra zero on the end because it's 10%. So the rate was 10%. I'm going to come back up and put the 10 in here. Okay, 2 more problems to do. All right, here's number 6. Matthew, 80,000. Gosh, he's got a lot of money. In a savings account that earns 6.3% annually, interest is not compounded. All right, let's not worry about that. How much will he have in 2 years? Okay, so I equals PRT. The principal, 80,000. That's the money he started with. The rate, 6.3 annually is going to be 0.063. Be careful about converting that. How much will he have in 2 years? Okay, so do this on your calculator. 80,000 times 0.063 times 2. So I get $10,080 is his interest. Now, what the bank does with that is they will put that interest into his account and add it on to the 80,000 that he put in the beginning. The question is, how much will he have in 2 years? It's really asking what the balance in his account will be. How much money will he have in total at the end of the 2 years? So what I want you to do is to add the 80,000 with the 10,080, and you get 90,080, which is the balance in the account. Oops, let me move it up, sorry. After 2 years. So the answer to this problem is not how much interest he earned, it's how much he has in total in the account after the 2 years. So it's $90,080. Okay, last problem. Here's number 7. This is about Trudy. Trudy has that much money in a savings account. Interest rate is given, not compounded. That's good because all of these problems are on simple interest, which means it's not being compounded. To the nearest dollar, how much will she have in 5 years? They're looking for the balance. They're not looking for the interest, although you have to work out the interest first and then add it on to the principal to get the balance. So I equals PRT. So it's 326,905 times the interest rate, 0.094, and it's in 5 years. So that is calculator work. I'm going to do that here right now. 326,905 times 0.094 times 5. And I get 153,645 and 35 cents. Now I'm going to redo that problem on my calculator just in case I typed in something, which is very easy to do. I could have typed something in incorrectly, so I just want to make sure that I get the same answer a second time. 153,645. Yes, I do. Okay, so this is the amount of interest. So the balance is going to be equal to the principal plus the interest. So the principal was 326,905 plus the interest, which was 153.645 and 35 cents. Add those together. Okay, I'm going to be cut off here by the video now because I've gone for 15 minutes. But you guys know from here, you're just adding those two amounts together and that's going to be your answer. Remember to round to the nearest dollar because they're asking you to do that. I will see you on Zoom